So if you are a rally fan, in recent years there hasn't been that many games. We had WRC games from Milestone year to year, but since DiRT 3 was released, there was DiRT Showdown, which had nothing to do with Rally, and there was really nothing else. But now within 6 months, 3 games have been released. It's WRC 5 from new developer Kiloton Games, then Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo was released from Milestone, and now we have DiRT Rally from Codemasters. So why not compare all of these games and see what they have to offer? So now as for the car lists in all 3 games. In WRC 5, of course, they have to deal with WRC license, so we have all the WRC cars, we have some WRC 2 and WRC 3 cars, and we have some esports WRC concept car. And that's all there is to it. There is not really much choice, we don't have any classics. Now in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, because Milestone doesn't have to deal with WRC license anymore, they don't have official WRC cars. I mean, they're not called WRC cars, but we have some modern cars like Citroen DS3, we have VW Polo, we have Ford Fiesta, we also have some modern front-wheel drive cars like the Ford Fiesta R2, we have some R5 cars, but we also have more classic cars from 1960s Minis, Lancia Fulvia, Lancia Stratos, we have 1980s Group B cars. So there is much bigger choice. There was also a DLC with some prototypes containing Lancia ECV, Vauxhall Astra, Ford GS or whatever it was called. So there is a big choice. Now in DiRT Rally the car list seems quite similar, because we also have from all the classics like Mini, we have BMW M3, we have also the Lancia Stratos, we have Renault 5 Turbo, we have quite a few cars from Group B, Peugeot 205, Audi S1, Ford RS200, we have some more modern cars, Subaru Impreza, Lancia Delta, 2 current WRC cars which are VW Polo, Ford Fiesta and Hyundai i20. The main difference between the Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo and DiRT Rally, apart from of course some cars being in one game and not the other, is that in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo there are no specific rallycross cars. There are a few hill climb cars though, but you can run every rally car on the hill climb and rallycross events and vice versa. In DiRT Rally there are specific rallycross cars. We have S1600, we have Classic Mini and we have modern WRX rallycross cars, and we have only 4 Pikes Peak cars to choose from, while the modern 208 T16 can only be run on tarmac Pikes Peak, and you cannot run rally car. Like if you'd want to run VW Polo rally car on the Pikes Peak, you cannot do that. Oh, and also in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo there is a livery editor. To some extent it's quite limited, it's nothing like in Forza or in Need for Speed, but you can do some stuff with it. So let's start with the oldest game again, which is WRC 5. And here we have every of the 13 countries that have hosted WRC rallies in 2015 season. So starting with Monte Carlo, then they go to Sweden, then across Europe, and then there is Australian rally, Mexico, Argentina and other stuff, and the season ends in Great Britain. Each rally has 5 stages. They are unique stages, but they are not real life stages. They are based on real life stages, so they look like they belong to the place, but they're fictional and they've been created specifically for the game. So in the base game we have 65 stages, because 13 multiplied by 5 equals 65. The length varies from as short as 2 kilometers to even 10 kilometers. You can choose few different time of days. Some rallies can be run at night, and you can choose different weathers, but not night and rain at the same time. There is also a DLC for the game called Esports Pack. Each contains 7 new stages, one for each country, but there is one common for each pack. So both packs have the UK stage, and each pack has 6 unique stages, one for each country. So that's 13 new stages for the game. Now in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo we have 8 countries. Not all of them are in current WRC season, because we have, for example, Rally France, which is run in Alsace region, but not in the Corsica region where it was run in 2015. There is also Rally San Remo, a nice tarmac rally. Each rally has 4 unique stages, 2 longer, 2 shorter ones. They can also be run in reverse, so that gives 8 stages per country, which is 32 unique stages or 64 if you count in the reverse. But Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo has also some rallycross tracks and the Pikes Peak. There was also a DLC with Rallycross Hell Circuit from Norway and Pikes Peak in full gravel 1988 variant. You can change the time of the day for stages, but you can't change the weather, so some stages in France, for example, are always run on wet tarmac. You can't run it on dry. Now as for Dirt Rally, there are only 6 countries. Each country has 12 stages, but in fact these are only 2 long stages, which are between 10 and 15 kilometers depending on the country. They are then divided into 4 shorter stages, which gives 6 together, and they can be run in reverse, which is 12. So 6 countries, 12 stages, that's 72 stages, but there are only 12 unique long stages. Dirt Rally also, like Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, has Rallycross. We have 3 tracks, which is not much, in different variants, and there is also Pikes Peak Hill Climb, which can be run in full tarmac, mixed or full gravel variant. For all the tracks there are some conditions to choose from. You can't individually choose time of day and weather, but you have like combined. So there is morning with fog for some countries, there is night with rain, etc. And both in Dirt Rally and Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, the stages are based on real stages. To be honest, none of the games are very innovative if it comes to single player modes. In WRC 5 we have Quick Stage, Quick Rally, which do as they say. We have Rally School, but I feel it's not very good, and it has nothing on the rally schools from first Colin McRae or Richard Burns Rally. Doesn't teach you much really. And we have career mode, where we start in junior WRC category, we choose a team, there is a team morale, team efficiency, team strategy things, but I don't feel like they do anything really. So if you do well in the season you can progress and you can advance to higher category, and you can choose different team in the next season, or you can stay in the same if you want, but who doesn't want to go to WRC. So as in real life in junior WRC, the drivers do only some of the rallies, as they do in WRC2. Only WRC drivers participate in all events of the season. The single player modes in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo offer the biggest variety of all 3 games, I think. We of course have quick mode, so we can choose a quick stage or a quick rally with not all the cars, but with one that we can rent or we have in our garage. But apart from career, which I'll talk about in a second, we have also test drive, where we have the area with small tarmac track and gravel track around the quarry, where we can test our cars. And we have Loeb experience mode, where there are events that are based on Loeb's history in WRC and his pre-WRC starts, and we can relive his greatest moments in career, starting from the things like Citroen Saxo, going through all the WRC Citroen cars to Rallycross and finishing off with recent Pikes Peak in the Peugeot 208. The career is similar to recent milestone game, right? It is split in different categories like Master, Novice, Open, Extreme, etc. Then each category is split into some car categories. Some events are single make, and by doing these events we get reputation, which allows us to go higher in the world ranking, and if we go higher in the world ranking we can do Loeb events, which are apparently organized by Sebastian Loeb to find the best talent in the world. An ultimate challenge is to get to the top of the table and to beat the final Loeb challenge. What is nice about this career mode is that it allows you to jump from one event to the other, so you don't have to stay in one car for, let's say, 6 rallies in a row like in DiRT Rally, but some events are just single stages, some events are longer rallies where you have to do like 8 stages in a row. You have Rallycross, you have Pikes Peak, which you can run in different cars in here than just Pikes Peak cars, so thanks to that this career mode offers quite a big variety. And of course by doing the events we earn money, which we then spend on our cars. Now in DiRT Rally we didn't have any rally school. Of course we have custom event, which is like quick stage, so I'm not gonna explain that because it's very obvious. We don't have any rally school, but with 1.1 patch on PC and console release we have video tutorials how to rally. In career mode the most interesting thing is the team management. So we have our crew chief, which is upgraded by just driving, by making more mileage, and we have our team engineers. We have 4 slots. We unlock the next slots by upgrading our crew chief, so at start we have only 1 engineer, and from these engineers it depends how quickly they repair our car during events. And interestingly, they are not free, you know, we don't unlock better engineers just like that. No, we have to pay for their service. The best engineers are quite expensive and you cannot afford them at start, but later in the career they are really necessary. Apart from that we have to buy our cars, and this is when our crew gets useful again, because when we buy our cars they don't come with the nominal power and weight. They are a bit slower and heavier, and they don't have advanced setups. We have to unlock these upgrades by driving the cars. However, for our crew we can buy perks for specific models, for 4-wheel drive cars, for a class of cars, for French cars for example, which will help us upgrade the cars faster. But we cannot jump from event to event like we can in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo. Well, we can jump from rally to rallycross to Pikes Peak if we have the cars for that, and when in open level in the rally championship there are 6 rallies as are in the game, but we run only 4 short stages. But the higher the level, the more stages we run, and on the top master level we run all 12 stages of the rally. And when we choose the class at the beginning of the season, we have to stick to it through the season. So if we start in Group B cars and we are on master level, then we would have to do 72 stages in the Group B car. We can change the car between the rallies, but we cannot change the class unless we abandon the championship. But if we do that too early, that could mean relegation. But also there is custom championship mode, where we can choose, for example, that the rallies are only 3 event rallies and there are 4 rallies in the season. So that saves a day a bit, because running 72 stages in the same car in a row gets quite boring. So now on to the multiplayer modes. In WRC 5 there isn't much to choose from, it's very simple, apart from the esports WRC competitions, which are every weekend that there is a real WRC rally, but you have to own the DLC, as I said before, to participate in that. There are leaderboards for every stage, there is multiplayer, there is a weekly event if there is no esports competition at the time, sometimes with some quirks like no handbrake or don't damage the car. Online multiplayer is up to 8 players, it's very simple, you can join your friends or you can just join any player. And currently online there isn't that many players, the game isn't that popular, so it's kinda hard to find someone. But if you'll find someone, you'll be racing against each other as ghosts, so you cannot crash into one another, but you can see how much advantage or how much you are losing to your opponent. Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo is a little bit different because, for one, it's up to 16 players multiplayer, and 2, you can do of course Rallycross and Pikes Peak, and 3, there is a player ranking, so it gives you points depending on how well you performed in the races, and you can go up or down in the player ranking. Not that it means something. Why there is Loeb Sebastian and Solberg Peter at the top, Daniel Elena, who is Sebastian Loeb's co-driver, Romain Grosjean. What the You have quick match, so you can join the game quickly, you can create a private match for your friends, and of course there are leaderboards for every stage. As far as I'm concerned, they were a bit broken, because like they counted only first attempt, and then if you've improved the time, it didn't register it on the leaderboard. It's also during rally stages, it's a ghost race, but Rallycross I haven't tried, you know, there aren't that many players in multiplayer, so it's kinda hard to do. I guess that should be a head-to-head where you can have collisions, but I'm not sure. Now Dirt Rally takes a little bit different approach. You sign in into this RaceNet thing, which gives you also leaderboards for every stage and also divided by car classes, and then in main menu we have something like leagues. You can create your own league or you can join any league, and there are just events created by people. You can open the page on the console or through PC and you can choose leagues, you can join them. Some are open, some are private. There are suggested, recommended popular leagues where there are a lot of people playing, so you can participate with a lot of people, or you can create a league for your friends or for your community. Apart from that, if we go into career, there are online events, and these are within a career, so they also, if you complete them, they give you money for completion. There is a Dirt Daily event, which rents you a car so you don't have to own it. There is sometimes a wager event, sometimes Owners Daily, sometimes Delta Daily. If there is a wager, you wage a amount between 100 and 200,000 credits, and depending on which tier you finish, you can get some money. There are 2 weekly events and there is a monthly event, and I haven't seen any special events, never. So this one is just empty. And apart from that, we have PvP, so player versus player. There is a championship playlist and online custom championship, but they have a realistic approach here, because player versus player is only for Rallycross. There is no ghost rallying like in other 2 games, so this role has been taken by the online weekly and daily and monthly events and the leagues, which is controversial. A lot of people have said that they want a proper multiplayer racing against ghosts, or a multiplayer like in previous Dirt games, like in Dirt 3 and I believe Dirt 2, there was a multiplayer mode where the cars have started one after another in 15 seconds gap or something like that. But because the stages are sometimes long, like 15 kilometers, then 15 seconds is quite small gap, because the difference in player levels can be much higher than that, and just one crash could cause one player to catch up with another. And if it would be like half a minute, then 16 player rally would make the first player that finished wait 8 minutes for the other players to finish, so that would be quite time consuming. So I kind of understand why they did drop it, and they felt probably that with this realistic approach, the Ghost multiplayer has just the arcadey feel for it. Now, I don't want to talk too extensively about the graphics and sounds, because there are plenty of videos on our channel and all over the YouTube from these games, so you can see and hear for yourself how the game looks and sounds. I've tested all the games on Xbox One, and I want to say that WRC 5 on Xbox One runs in more than 30 frames per second, but in some conditions it definitely drops to like 40, and it's really noticeable. In some conditions, when there isn't like rain and there isn't dusk, when the sun shines and give these God rays effect, it runs pretty well and it's quite smooth. As for the sounds in WRC 5, there are some nice pops and bangs, but overall the sounds aren't very good. As for the Sebastian Loeb rally, though, with all the patches, the Xbox performance is quite constant, 30 frames per second. I haven't seen many drops, which there were before during gameplay though, because during replays it likes to struggle and just doesn't run very well. But it is 30 frames per second only. Sounds, some are better, some are worse, but they're quite bland and not exciting. DiRT on Xbox runs in 60 frames per second most of the time. In some tough conditions you can see some small drops and tearing, but it feels fluid and smooth, and I think it looks the best out of the games. The shadows aren't impressive from cockpit view, they are really blocky at times, but if your car is moving you don't see it too much, but on the start it sometimes really hurts your eyes. And the sounds are just brilliant. Sounds are like one of the best in the racing games ever. Not only the blow-off valve, the pops and bangs, the engine sounds, but the small details like the rattles in the cockpit view. You know, rally cars do take a lot of punishment on these gravel stages, and it's normal that there are some screws and some nuts rattling, and you can hear it in the car, and it's fantastic. And then watching replay and listening to that Subaru just flying by is just phenomenal. It really is. So overall, DiRT Rally gives the best experience here. So now the most important part, which is the gameplay. We start off with WRC 5, and the game has been criticized, but overall I think it is an official WRC game, so it has to be accessible for everyone, not only for very experienced like sim players, but also for people who just like rally and they want to try it out themselves on their console or PC. But to be honest, there isn't just much content in WRC, and the game is just not very interesting. It follows the official WRC rules, for example not giving split times, because that is the rule from 2015 season, but it doesn't really push you to keep playing. It feels uninteresting. The stages are quite fun, they are quite wide and they have a run of areas, so margin of error, if you make a small error, is fine. Co-driver is not great, but not bad. I haven't been complaining that much because probably of the wide tracks. Even if there was a small mistake, I could have easily rescued that. On controller, the gameplay is fine for me. It's definitely the easiest of the three on the controller because of the wide track and simplified physics. If you watch the replay, I don't know if the gravel tracks are really that smooth in this game or just the physics of suspension are simplified, but the wheels don't move a lot, and that is just a confirmation of that. So the gameplay really isn't that bad, but it just gets boring because there's nothing interesting to do here. You go through career, you go through the rallies, but you don't earn money. There isn't a feeling of accomplishment when you do something. As for the difficulty, you can change it up. There are 4 different levels to choose from, but on some stages the AI is glitched and they will be much faster than you no matter what you do. And it's also rubber banded, so you'll never win a stage by more than like 1.5 or 2 seconds. If you do well, the opponents will also do better. So that really makes it hard to choose the difficulty level, and it sometimes gets annoying because they're really close to you even if you're driving perfectly, and then you make one mistake and then you drop down. You have also a snapshot, which is a rewind, but it works in that kind of way. If you press the button, it rewinds you to the last split. Yeah, it rewinds back the time also and any damage you did, so it just is a try again, but not from the start, but from the split point. The damage is in the game is adjustable. You can turn off the mechanical damage, but if you manage somehow to get off the track and hit something with it turned on a higher level, then it will really damage the car and it will slow it down. Also, the tires wear out pretty quickly, as do the brakes, so this gives quite a bit more challenge. Now for Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo, the physics are more on the realistic side and the overall approach for the game. The stages are based on the real ones, so they are quite narrow, but with Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo and playing on controller, I felt it wasn't very responsive. Sometimes if you needed a quick counter steer or if you needed to change directions quickly because there was a sequence of corners, it wasn't responding very quickly and it was quite sluggish. You can also change the difficulty, but it's also uneven. On some stages the same level will give you a good challenge and you will only buy few tenths, and on some other you will demolish the opponents. And in rallycross they are usually very good and you'll have some problems still driving on the same difficulty level. There is also a rewind. You can have up to 9 rewinds during your stage, and it works like in most racing games that you can rewind the time a little bit, few seconds back, to just erase the mistake that you've just made. Physics, while on simulation side, are acting sometimes a bit weird. I feel handbrake turns are weird, like the handbrake is laggy and first it reacts too slow, then it unlocks too slowly, and it's really hard to judge how to use it. And also the cars roll much too easily. It's especially visible in rallycross when you really just lean on a little bit on the other car and they just roll, and you cut slightly a corner where there is a curb and you roll. It's really way too easy to roll the cars. There is something wrong with the physics in these terms. Damage wise, both visually and mechanically, you can enable it on few levels and it really can be difficult, and with just one hit you can damage your car pretty heavily. The game is definitely challenging and the stages are nice. The co-driver is sometimes not precise, especially when the corners are tightening, and because the stages are so narrow and unforgiving, that can be very annoying. Different cars definitely feel different, and because there is a lot more to choose from than in WRC, some classes are definitely unbalanced and car ratings aren't really saying the truth. But overall the game is pretty difficult, pretty challenging, and can be frustrating at times. Now Dirt Rally and controller play surprisingly well. Because of the 60 frames per second frame rate, it feels fluid and it feels responsive, unlike Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo. The start to career is quite a bit grindy, but once you get it going with the perks and with custom championship, you can unlock other cars and upgrade them pretty quickly. Stages are very challenging. Co-driver pace notes are pretty good in most places, but in some you have to learn the most tricky stuff because the pace notes are wrong and misleading, and you'll end up in a tree. Every car feels different. I feel like the gravel physics are really good. The tarmac, they're controversial, they're not that great. They do feel quite good, but there is something wrong about them. There is just that not enough downforce and too much sliding going on. And on Finland the jumps are pretty ridiculous, but you know, the game feels good and it's really playable on controller. You can't change the difficulty in the career. You're just advancing to higher divisions and then the AI will be faster and faster. However, I feel like in the new Rallycross and Pikes Peak, usually in the first divisions the AI is way too fast for novice players. I'm struggling to keep up with a car that is not upgraded, and I'm really quite quick in this game, so that can scare some new players really easily, because they just won't be able to keep up. There also isn't any rewind buttons in this game, surprisingly, because Codemasters are the ones that have brought it into the genre with grid. In 2 other games there is racing line, and here there isn't one. You have assist like ABS and traction control and stability control, but I feel like traction control just stalls your car in the gravel where you just need some wheel spin to get out of some tricky situations. So the game is very uneasy and not really friendly for novice players. For me, the 2 biggest downfalls are the lack of stages, because as I said, there are only 2 stages for each country and they're just run in different configurations, and the other is the damage, which can't be changed. And it's quite forgiving. I remember in DiRT 3 and in all the Colin McRae games the damage was more realistic. I mean, the modeling is fine, because if you beat up the car you can really see it. The doors fall off, the panels fall off, the car dents, you can have punctures and you can lose your wheels, but usually hitting a tree at 70 or 80 miles an hour just damages your radiator a little bit and the car just doesn't feel that much slower. There should be a realistic setting for the damage for hardcore players, because for now you can push and you're not really penalized as much as you should be. WRC 5? Not really. I mean, the default settings are rubbish and undrivable. The car feels completely disconnected from the wheel. I found some settings on the internet and I feel, well, damn, these are the settings, you can see them in the background. And now it's okay, but the force feedback is really far from great. Like on gravel, if you get oversteer, the wheel, instead of helping you and rotating the direction you should counter steer, it creates some weird drag, which makes it just harder to turn and slows it down. So I'd say maybe the game isn't better with a controller, but it certainly isn't worth getting the wheel for it. As for Loeb Rally Evo, the force feedback in that game also isn't great. On default it's very strong and it's hard to turn the wheel. I had to lower it down to like 50%, and then it is still strong in my opinion, but now it's drivable. It's decent, it gives you some information about, but it's not that much detailed. But I would recommend, if you have a wheel, play it with a wheel, because it gives you just that much more precision, which you need because the stages are very narrow and tricky. But is the feeling great? It's okay, but it's nothing special. But as in DiRT, it makes a completely different game. It's really great with the wheel, the feeling is great. There are a lot of settings to fiddle with, but I just lowered it down to about 60-65%, so I don't have to fight the wheel so much. I have to still use force to turn it, but it's not like in a go-kart, because the cars in real life do have power steering, even the rally cars, because otherwise they would rip driver's arms off. It has really good feeling, you can feel the bumps, it really is great on default settings. Just calibrate it, turn on soft lock if you want the realistic experience. It will change the degree of rotation depending from car to car. You know, the older cars you will have 900 degrees or 1080 if you're playing on PlayStation 4 in some older cars, and in modern cars you will have 540 degrees and you will have quite quick steering. Notice on PS4 the force feedback is somehow broken. It feels like less detailed, it feels weak, it doesn't feel very good. On PC and Xbox it's really fantastic. It still feels okay on PS4 when we played it, but it was kinda lacking something that the other versions do have. I hope it is a bug and it will be patched. And also there is another bug with force feedback, I think, because the newly added rallycross cars, the S1600 and Mini rallycross car, they do have a weird feeling in force feedback, because they're very stiff. The force feedback, it feels like it's clipping, and when you're turning the wheel, when you're past some turning rotation into the corner, it feels like the wheel is pulling more into the corner while it should try to center itself. So it's kind of weird. I hope it's a glitch, and I hope it will be patched as well. So that is the end of the comparison. I hope I got through all the most important aspects of the games. Will I recommend any of them? Yeah, definitely DiRT Rally, but Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo also isn't bad. If you get it somewhere with a discount, I would say try it out. And WRC, if you are a novice and you don't have a steering wheel and you want to play a rally game, it's kind of an easier game, but it still can be fun. I've had fun with it. I'd say avoid the DLC in Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo because they're very expensive and not really worth it. If you have a wheel, definitely go for the DiRT Rally again, because that is just a great experience even if you're not a rally fan. And if you have some questions, write them in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them. What I can say that there are positives with all the games, because WRC 5 was made by Kiloton Games. The previous game by them was Motorcycle Club, which I haven't played, but it looked really bad. And this was a positive surprise because it's really playable and enjoyable. It's a decent game. Sebastian Loeb Rally Evo definitely improved from WRC titles. It still isn't a hit massive AAA game, but it's really rather good, while it has some problems, and it seems that Codemasters are back to form with DiRT Rally because it is really a great game. Maybe it has a problem because it can be really frustrating and tough for novice and not advanced players, but other than that, it's really good. So if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more racing game content, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.